Terrific. Another Naruto fan.
I'm Datara. Fuck. Oh god. Anyway, what's up guys? This is my new show. Nipple. Narutard investigates problems providing low effort. Or little effort, I'm not sure. I'll figure it out sometime. Essentially, this is the video segment where I'm going to sit here and talk to you guys about serious topics. The other videos are pretty much just for fun. This one, I want to do a more discussion-based type thing. Less of a debate, more of a discussion. Essentially, this is just going to be me. A couple of the other guys might get into it, but it's probably just going to be me talking about things I am passionate about, and probably just analyzing, debating certain things. Stuff like that, yeah. Dubs have an inherent... I think I should clarify the title of this video before I keep going any further. Basically, my main point that I'm gonna try to be getting across is that dubs have an inherent advantage over their subtitled counterparts to a foreign audience, to a English-speaking audience just like us. So I'm by no means saying that dubs are better than subs. I tend to favor subs more often than not. I'm just trying to say that to a foreign audience, dubs have an advantage that subs just simply can't compete with. If dubs are made competently, then they are generally better at relating to the foreign audience than subs could ever be. Now, whenever you hear the argument that dubs are better than subs, you usually hear this argument from what I'm going to be calling the dub normie army, DNA, because they're missing a few chromosomes, more often than not. Basically, the argument that they always say is that it's easier to watch a dubbed show because you don't have to read the subtitles, you can watch the action, blah, 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 blah. Absolute dog shit argument. This is such a surface level issue that can be easily overcome. Just watch for like a week and you'll get used to the subtitles. Honestly, it's not even a legitimate contribution to this discussion. Like, just get out. Just get good. Surprisingly, there's an even simpler and easier argument to make. We just understand an English-speaking cast better. If someone grew up speaking a language, they're going to understand, relate, and emotionally connect with characters who also speak that language much easier than anything else. Consider these two clips.
You damn nerd! Hey, you damn nerd! No. Shut up and listen, you damn nerd!
So to English speakers, we know what the words "you damn nerd" mean. Why? Well, because we've heard them spoken to put down people, to belittle them, maybe as a joke, maybe as a friendly jab. It's regardless. We know what these words mean because we've heard them spoken to other people. So in reality, out of these two characters, dubbed Bakugo is really the only one that could fill the role of a real-life bully to English-speaking viewers. Why is that? Because he's the only one who's actually saying the words, "you damn nerd." The Japanese voice actor is just saying, he could never be a real-life bully to an English viewer because real bullies don't just yell at you in Japanese. They say,
"Hey, you damn nerd!"
Hi. I'm recording. It's fine? Okay. Am I being too loud?
No, I thought you were talking to your friends, so I was gonna say, well then who is Bakugo?
That's funny.
I'm so sorry.
That's fine.
Start over now?
No. I'm just gonna edit all this raw footage.
Oh, you're okay. I'm sorry.
I'll put you in the video.
Oh no.
This is also why this meme is funny. Or at least maybe was in 2016. This is funny because in reality, if a weeb actually goes to Japan, the idea of a weeb going to Japan and being all confused and such because there's no actual subtitles for what Japanese people are saying is funny because in reality he could never actually understand, relate, or emotionally connect with these people because he doesn't understand what they're saying. So please do not misconstrue the last point I just made as saying you can't relate to a subtitled character at all. I'm simply showing that you can't relate to a subbed character in the same way to or as fully as you can to a dubbed character. I'll still get choked up after watching an emotional scene with one of my favorite subbed characters, but I could never actually put myself in that situation or relate to it as fully because I don't speak the language that the actual voice actors are speaking. Alright, let's look at this from an emotional one. I have this clip I'm going to play from the movie Logan. Spoilers if you haven't seen good movies in the past 3 years. Now notice what the scriptwriters make Laura say in order to really hit home emotionally with the audience. She calls Logan Daddy. Now this is supposed to make us go, aww, and cry. You know why? Because Laura finally accepted Logan as her true father, even though Logan never wanted to be, and now he's dead. But what if she said the same thing in a different language? I mean, it would make sense for Laura to say this very emotional, very soul-relating moment in her mother tongue, in Spanish. She's a Spanish character, after all. So why English? Well, it's pretty simple. The majority of this audience that are going to see this movie, they speak English. The word daddy, the English word daddy, has very real emotional ties to these English-speaking audience members. Where do you hear this term? You hear it when you say it to your father when you're a child. You hear it when you're at a Little League baseball game and some kid hits a home run. He walks to his dad, he says, Daddy. You hear it, maybe you're the father. Maybe you're hearing it from your child. It's their first word. They're saying daddy. It's a very real emotional connection we have to this word. So an English-speaking audience would not connect with the Spanish word papi, for example, because they don't have experiences that link it directly to that word. They have experiences that link to the word daddy. So I think you can all see where I'm going with this. In anime, it's the exact same thing. English speakers will always relate to spoken English more than spoken Japanese. Now, to rebut this claim, some of you might say, but Nipple, you can relate to what the subbed characters are saying because it's in the subtitles. Just read the meaning through that. I'll admit, you're definitely right to a certain extent. You can definitely relate to what these characters are saying through the meaning of the subtitles. That's definitely true to a certain extent. But at best, you're copy and pasting what the meaning of the subtitles is into what the actual Japanese voice actors are saying. So to relate means, its dictionary definition, to connect with. That's what it means. So what are you supposed to relate with these characters with other than your experiences? You're watching their experiences, you have to link it back to yours. That's how it works. Relate comes from the Latin word relat, which means brought back. Also connected to the Latin word referere. Those 7 years of studying a dead language in school really came in handy when discussing Japanese cartoons online. So in order for us to relate, we have to be brought back to one of our numerous audiovisual experiences we've had over our lives. And a character saying something that we've actually heard before in real life will always impact us more than us reading the translation of something that we have never heard before. Like I said, at best, you're cutting and pasting the meaning from the subtitles onto what the Japanese voice actors are really saying. You're not hearing what they said and immediately making that connection. There's a barrier of entry there. Now with this in mind, why aren't dubs always better than subs? You can emotionally connect with them, you can relate with them, and you can understand them better. Why isn't this the case? Well, it's pretty obvious, really. The Japanese voice actors are exceptional at bringing these characters to life. The problem is, anime is massive in Japan, duh, and it's not as prevalent in the West. So this means that Japanese voice actors have been doing this for comparatively much longer. There's competition in there, so the quality is going to be better, and they get paid more because the industry is more popular. The West, comparatively, doesn't really do animation and voice acting with as much gusto. Sure, we get Tom Hanks to play Woody, and we get Mark Hamill to play the Joker, but it's not like we're gonna get Danny DeVito to play Dio. Danny to Dio? It's a niche market, and as such, it's gonna be plagued with having much less resources than the Japanese counterpart. Well, I just assume it is. I'm not actually gonna do any real research. By the way, this is why I'm super impressed by how good Funimation's dubs usually are. If they come out with a dubbed version of a show, I'll usually watch it. They're pretty solid. So sometimes dubs qualities aren't so good, but that's not the only reason that dubs are often worse than subs. Same reason subs are often harder to relate to rather than dubs is the same reason why dubs have terrible translations sometimes. It's simply because it's in a different language. The real meaning of the Japanese might get lost or fumbled, moved around during the translation process. So that's gonna make a lot of what is said just completely wrong. This is why most comedy anime should be watched subbed, because a lot of the jokes just won't translate well and can't be performed as well by an English-speaking cast. If I'm gonna have to read a bunch of notes on why these jokes are funny when I'm watching Gintama, I'm just gonna watch the sub so I can get the voice actors really good expressions of these things. Another reason subbed is often the good and better choice is because sometimes you don't want to relate to a character. Sometimes these characters are so unconventional or badass or there's some caricature of something that you don't want to and you don't have to relate to what they're actually about. This is why everyone, no exceptions, should watch JoJo's subbed. Because I don't want to relate to someone who can predict someone's lines before they say it. I don't want to relate to someone who throws construction equipment as a weapon. I don't want to relate to someone who licks other people to see if they're lying. These characters are so out there, and they're so brought to life well by their Japanese voice actors, that the English-speaking VAs have no chance of capturing that same magic. I'm fine with these characters remaining, well, boring. Characters are sometimes so out there that it's fine if we don't relate to them. It's fine if they remain foreign to us. Sometimes you simply can't capture the oddities or quirks of a Japanese written character in English. I feel bad for VAs like Patrick Seitz. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing that. He's the voice actor for Dio in the dub of Stardust Crusaders and Phantom Blood. Because how the hell are you supposed to do an English interpretation of Dio? I think I've adequately portrayed my opinions in this timely manner of a video, but there's a lot of things I had to cut out. For example, I had a whole segment about how, against all odds, the Shimonetta dub is phenomenal.
Your cookies have my love nectar mixed in the dough!